Good afternoon and good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube channel and CoffeeStream number 296. Holy shit, what am I going to do for the 300th one? I hope everybody's having a great Wednesday. It is Wednesday, which means it is Wednesdays with Skep. How are you doing, Skep?
I'm doing very well, and I'm glad you were able to get the technical issues knocked out, so we are able to stream on your channel today.
Yes,
And
I had used 19 hours, 13 minutes
yeah,
of my 20 hours.
holy cow! My apologies to anybody who might have been misled by the 3.5 minutes that my tweet existed that was telling people that today's stream was going to be on my channel.
That was the backup
That
plan.
was that was the plan B. I thought we were going with plan B. Turns out that Blind Press and Pinkalo had it sorted, and I had not looked at my DMs. She'd actually already told me, so that was completely my fault. And I'm sorry if it twirled anybody around, but we're certainly glad you're here with us today. It's an interesting day. Can I start off with something just a little bit slightly personal.
Sure.
You know that I've been, I've had respiratory problems.
Yeah.
Just it was a cold that basically developed into, I'm going to reveal this to the world for the first time. I had pneumonia about a week ago. I actually had diagnosed pneumonia. And when you're almost 70,
They
when
don't
you're
fuck around with that shit.
well, they want to put you right in the hospital.
Yeah.
And so, against medical advice, I said, no, don't hospitalize me. Jack me with antibiotics. My wife's a retired nurse. My daughter's a doctor. They can take care of me at home without hospitalizing me. And my primary care physician at the VA said, I'm not allowed to even know any of that stuff, or even, or let that be in my. So I have to say this against medical advice, but I think you're going to be actually better off at home.
Well, yeah.
And he said, the important thing is, if you get in a crisis, that you have supportive care.
Mm-hmm.
And but we've got all the stuff that we need. And like I said, I have a doctor in the family who's 3 miles down the road.
Yeah.
So that was all manageable. I came home, but a side effect of all this is all preface. This is what happens when you say to a spurg, yeah, tell us about yourself. So anyway, this is all led up to the fact that I am about 90% deaf in my right ear as a result of this. Now, this is because there's fluid built up in there and it's still clearing out. I don't think it's a permanent deafness. I mean, other than the natural hard of hearingness that comes with old age.
Yeah.
But it's very interesting to lose the hearing on one side of your body, because all of a sudden everything sounds like it's coming from the left. It really does. It throws you. And what happens is you look the wrong way half the time. You don't get enough cues without the stereoscopic hearing.
Nope.
You don't get enough cues about which way to look. So you tend to look from which ear is getting the most noise.
Yeah.
And that's always to the left. So anyway, that's been very strange. I've
found that happens to me with ear infections.
Well, that's basically what I had, was a follow-on ear infection from the pneumonia. It basically just crawled up my respiratory tract, settled in my ears, and now the fluid is slowly going away. Yeah. But anyway, making a long story short, I started messing with my headphones to jack the volume up on the right-hand side.
Oh God.
So I had it at 100 on the right-hand side and 25 on the left-hand side, and it still wasn't even. it was still was dominating on the left hand side.
Wow.
That's why I estimated that I probably had lost about 90% of my hearing. Was the 75-25 did not balance the hearing at all.
That's crazy.
It helped, it helped make it a little bit more sensible. But the problem is when you do that, you cut out a lot of sound. You cut down a lot of sound that you can get from the overall volume. Okay, so then I couldn't jack the volume up loud enough to make things loud enough in my right ear to hear anything. So I finally just said, screw it, set it back to defaults, and I'm basically listening out of my left ear.
Yeah.
But it's been a little bit disorienting, and it does remind you that you are made out of fallible components, and they're designed to have a lifetime, and they're starting to go.
Speaking of disorientation, I took Alex to the hill at his school today because the teachers are on strike again.
That's just amazing to me.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, that's like firefighters or doctors going on strike. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, I know. And so since they're on strike, nobody shoveled the path
right
where we usually go. So that was fun.
I
didn't get lost, but it was really annoying.
Oh man.
And then poor Alex went down the hill.
Like, remind everybody how old Alex is.
Alex is 5.
Right.
So Alex, he got I think he got like three or 4 slides down the hill, and then he hit. There was like this big pile of hardened snow and ice at the bottom that the sled jumped, and he fell on the big pile of, as he called, ice rocks. He's okay, but he was kind of upset at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But he's okay now.
All right, so you went out sledding instead of going to school because the teachers were on strike, and the teachers are striking for what reason?
Well, they started off by saying it was because of cuts to the support staff for special needs children. And then last week, all of a sudden, it was, we want a cost of living adjustment.
Yeah, and I was going to say, where's the money?
And everyone went, but you said it wasn't about money.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's not. It's not. It's not. They said. But where's the cost of living adjustment? Then they also said.
Right. Long as we're here, that's so sad. Their minds are just as disorganized, and
well, there have been a lot of calls over the past few weeks to the local private schools.
Mm-hmm.
Asking if there's room.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm absolutely sure. And unfortunately, private schools are so expensive.
Oh yeah.
I mean, those will change your world.
And some of them aren't even that good.
No, that's right. So,
like my ex-girlfriend went to a private school that was basically for kids who had ridiculously difficult learning disabilities that the public school couldn't deal with.
Right.
And or kids who just couldn't be bothered to do their homework.
Yeah.
And were disruptive. So the curriculum was very
basic
and simplified.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time she got out of that private school and went to public school, and she was like 2 grades ahead of me. I was explaining to her how to do her homework in public school because she was like, I don't know she didn't know the basics.
Fractions, what are those?
Yeah, she didn't know her basic stuff from public school because they didn't, she's like, we never learned this at my private school. And I'm like, well, how the hell are you supposed to, like, what are you talking about?
Numbers. We don't need no
I
stinking
learned
number.
that in grade 6. What are you
Right. Yeah, exactly. And how unfair is that to the children,
Yeah.
by the way? I
It's,
mean,
yeah.
I'm Jesus.
Because
Eh,
and I have to explain to, because he's like, I said, there's no school today. And he goes, why? And I'm like, uh, it's hard to explain, right? Because I'm not
yeah.
going to shit on his teachers, right?
Well,
Because they're
they're
his
kind of
teachers.
shitting on
Yeah,
themselves.
I know. But I mean, like, I'm not going to put that,
No. It's hard enough as it is.
like, I'm not, because that's going to backfire on me at one point. If I'm going to shit on other authority figures in his life, then
Yeah.
he's just going to,
You have to do that carefully.
yeah.
I mean, you can be critical of, people who,
Yeah.
but the key is making sure that they understand what your disagreement with the other people is. And it might be pretty hard to explain that the teachers striking initially for cuts in support staff and then having that bleed over into uh, uh, wanting a cost of living adjustment, it might be hard for a 5-year-old to understand. So
Yeah.
I think you were wise to do that. But at any rate,
So, have you
so
been listening to the impeachment
oh yes,
ridiculousness?
I was just about to bring that up. Yes, never have so many words been uttered by so many about so little. To paraphrase Winston Churchill, it's absolutely amazing how what. Well, first of all, you have to understand this impeachment is a nothing burger. It is a nothing burger by definition. It is a completely political thing. It's politically conceived, politically executed. It's being done on party lines. There's no bipartisan agreement. When they impeached Nixon, when they drew up articles of impeachment for Nixon, they didn't impeach him because he resigned.
Yeah, but
But
they could have.
well,
They had grounds.
they were going to impeach him. Not only was the impeachment going to be successful, but his own party was going to vote against him.
Yeah.
Okay, and so there was no partisanship in that. It was time to throw the bastard out. They were done with him. The uh, what what's happening here is a purely political maneuver,
Yeah.
and this is being done so that reelection, all through the election season, the Democrats can go around saying impeached President Trump, our impeached president, our president who we impeached,
Yeah.
the impeached disgraced and impeached Donald Trump. That's what they want to do because that's just another arrow in their quiver. That's the only reason this is going. They know they're not going to remove him. They know the Senate is not going to, that not one single Republican is going to vote the Democrats' way. There's no political cover for that. If one Republican broke cover and voted with the Democrats, they would be nuking their political career forever. They would be done. And there will be, there are Republicans who don't care for the president, but they also understand that this is a complete sham. The other thing is that the basis of the impeachment doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, uh, there's no such thing as the second article of their impeachment. The second article that they have, there's no such offense as that, and the first one is not supported by the facts. It's just completely ginned up out of whole cloth.
That's why I had to put
Obstruction of Congress, really?
Well, and that's what I had to put when I was listening, because Pincala had the hearing going when he was home earlier. And Adam Schiff was like, "This is not a show, ladies and gentlemen." And I'm like, "Thank you for my title, Mr. Schiff. Thank you very much." Because
that was perfect.
Really, this is not a show? Are you serious?
Because that's all it is.
Like, how do you speak without like, how do you speak these lies without, like,
hitting yourself with
hitting?
your nose.
Yeah.
Pinocchio Schiff is an amazing liar. He's just completely mendacious.
He is.
And he's he's an evil, weird guy. There's just nothing
He
good about him.
sounds evil.
But he is.
Like this voice, the way he just talks like this and like
Nothing
Jesus,
attractive
dude.
about the guy. Yeah. So this is almost made for Hollywood
It is.
to hate him. Out. So at any rate, so this is a giant nothing burger. It's a complete waste of time. And the interesting thing that has happened is the Dems have slipped in the polls as a result of this because the public is getting tired of this.
Yeah.
And one of the things that has happened is that approval for impeachment has slipped under Donald Trump's approval rating.
Right.
That's really interesting. So you have Donald Trump coming up pretty close to 50% approval. And the other thing is that he's beating all the Democrats in every swing state.
Yes, he is.
Hi, Pink Cow.
Skep says hi. How's Alex's face look?
Fine.
Okay.
He explained what happened. He was trying to get on the sled and it slipped out from under him.
Well, he slid down the hill like he.
Yeah, I know. That's exactly. I can picture exactly.
Yeah.
What happened.
He had snow rash.
He went to get on the sled at the top of the hill.
It slid down the hill.
And he was halfway in it.
Yeah, and then he slid down the hill, and then
He's being a little boy.
Yeah. Ice boulders, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
he was being a little boy, exactly.
He's being a little boy with ice boulders, which is what little boys have, ice boulders. Is that what he called them? Was ice boulders?
Ice boulders, yeah.
I love that.
well, Pincalo said ice boulders earlier. Alex
Did he
said
say
ice rocks?
Ice rocks.
Ice rocks.
Ice rocks. It's such a little boy expression. That just makes me happy. It reminds me of my son many years ago. Oh, that's so fun.
Did you see Nancy Pelosi yesterday? I'm not a lawyer. I practice medicine on the side.
I don't. God, just get that woman some medicine.
It's like,
oh my God.
Every time Joe Biden does something weird, Pelosi's like,
hold my beer.
Because it's like, what are you saying?
Oh, too true.
You practice medicine on the side? What?
What?
And then I think I saw someone tweet, "Oh, I think that was a joke," and I'm like, "No, what? No, that was not a joke."
Oh man, no, she is. The other, she says some bizarre things. She said, "I'm a Catholic. Don't say I hate anybody."
Yes. Because Catholics don't hate.
No, they don't hate anything, and they're pro-abortion too. By the way, all Catholics are.
They don't hate anything, especially themselves.
No. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the truth. At any rate,
oh my goodness, this is just a big circus. I don't understand how I don't understand how the Dems don't see that the public is just getting so tired of this.
Yeah.
And even people who don't like Trump are starting to go, okay, really, guys?
Yeah.
Just, that's enough.
Well, there's so much corruption going on that is not being examined because of the lefty press.
Yeah.
And, the prime example is what the Bidens were doing with Burisma in the Ukraine. That shit needed to be investigated heavily because I suspect there was a substantial amount of money that traveled back to the United States, probably in suitcases, or in diplomatic packages in the State Department that went to the Democratic Party, and that's the same thing that Al Gore was doing with China when he was running. There's a lot of really scary, spooky stuff that's going on. Uh, that is there's just no excuse for it, and the only reason that it is suborned. Hang on,
You have a warning about alarm going off.
I know my
Are there ghosts in your house?
no, my big dachshund just crawled up next to me and
the
is
poodle
sitting
was
on
jealous?
no, she's sitting on the little dachshund. The little dachshund is growling at her.
Ah.
So I'm trying to make room for both of them. They're both been chased up here by the blue heeler, who is like a gigantic dog compared to these dachshunds.
Yes.
You know, the blue heeler German Shepherd cross.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah, this is a big ass dog. and she's just sweet as she can be. She's just sweet as she can be. And the kids thought it would be funny to name her Cat. So I have a dog named Cat. Anyway, we're dog sitting Cat. She doesn't normally live here, but she intimidates the two dachshunds, and so they get up and snuggle with Daddy. And the poodle is actually the head bitch, and she pushes the healer around. In addition to the two dachshunds,
my grandma had a healer Australian cattle dog mix.
Oh man, that's a smart dog.
Oh, she was a very smart dog, but she was very much a. I need to tell you guys where to go.
Right. They're bossy as hell.
I need to follow you around and nudge you and
nip you and
nip at you, and
right.
But she was also very skittish. Like fireworks.
Yeah.
Oh man,
they're all gun shy.
Yeah.
But those Aussie Shepherds are routinely judged to be the smartest breed of dog.
Yeah.
And they and Labradors, I guess, are supposed to be the smartest. But anyway.
Wikipedia snippet was saying, danger, Will Robinson.
Yeah, exactly. You okay? The dog who jumped up here, the full-size dachshund who's sitting on top of the miniature dachshund, which is really pretty funny.
The mini dachshund was like, "Get off of me!"
Yeah, the mini dachshund is, but the one that's the big one is her name is Odd, and in honor of Odd Thomas, the Dean Koontz figure. And
nice.
That's one of Brenda's and my favorite books, favorite characters of his. And so anyway, Audie decided to get up here, and that's what the growling is.
Dectran has a very interesting point. It says we're in a cold civil war right now.
He's close to right, I think. I think that's there are aspects of this that are they're so hostile, and the sides are to the point where there doesn't seem to be any possibility of rapprochement, of compromise between the two. It looks like it's going to be a fight. It's cold right now. It breaks out into hot from time to time with Antifa and the Proud Boys and stuff like that. I hope it doesn't degenerate into that. One of the things that, just to kind of change the subject very slightly, there's something going on in California right now that if we're not careful, I think the president may have to send the National Guard in. And you basically have San Francisco being turned into a high disease area. I mean, they're having outbreaks of typhus.
Yeah.
They're having diseases from the 16th century that were eradicated in the 17th century that really have not visited hell on us for 300 years.
I'm waiting for cholera to have happen
They've already had some cholera
really?
in Los Angeles. Yes, not it hasn't been reported in San Francisco, but 3 or 4 cases have been reported in uh, uh, Los Angeles. And, of course, Los Angeles is, careful to try and keep that under wraps.
Yeah.
Saying that, these people came in from other areas and we don't know where they got cholera. Well, probably from the shit on your streets.
Yeah.
It could be that. And the other day, emblematic of all this was in a Safeway uh, grocery store, where you buy food. This guy walks in, he picks up a roll of toilet paper out of a new package and pulls the roll out, goes behind an aisle, and takes a shit on the counter.
Okay.
And this is you can watch this on YouTube. If you're so inclined, you can watch this spectacle on YouTube. They actually had a picture of him on the news. And I saw it on a Fox News recap type, video. And I saw this picture, and it's just disgusting. It's just as disgusting as what you think it is. And you just kind of go, that's what San Francisco has become. That's what these people have wanted San Francisco to become. San Francisco is starting to become like Nairobi. Okay,
This is crazy.
Yeah, it's starting to become like Brazzaville. It's starting to become like shithole capitals in Africa.
Yeah,
and it's I think at the bottom of this, the root of all of this, is this impossible to achieve ideal, and it's not really an ideal, it should not be an ideal, of the wealth gap, that everybody should have the same amount of money.
Yeah.
That's bullshit. Okay. But as long as you have people who are inciting people by saying, look how much more money these billionaires have than you, tear down their homes, assault them,
Yeah. Take their money.
Exactly. And you'll have some of the billionaires who say, well, no, I'll placate you, I'll say all the right things on TV so that I won't get harassed in a restaurant when I go out. And they spend the rest of their times behind, the barbed wire and gates in their home, all the while saying, oh, we should let the borders down, let all the refugees in. Yeah, because you'll be protected. The rest of us have to deal with this shit.
Exactly.
I've had 2 people in the last 2 years. This happened to be with a frequency about once a year, where I have some guy show up at my front door and act like he's going to push his way into my house.
Really?
Oh, yeah. In fact, I had one happen not too terribly long ago, where this guy comes up. He's a big Mexican-American looking guy with a heavy accent. And he says, I have to come in and work on your air conditioning. You called about your air conditioning. I have to come in and work on your air conditioning. And he doesn't have, he's got a running car in my driveway, right?
Uh-huh.
And I said, no, you're not coming inside. And he kind of draws himself up, and then he sees that I have a gun in my hand, a 9mm, which is the way I answered the door. And he just looked at it and he went, oh. And he turned around, marched back to his car, and drove off.
You're going to fix the air conditioning while leaving the car running, are you?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, you're going to fix yourself
I'm here about
my stuff?
I'm here about the air conditioner. I have to come in and work on it.
But I'm going to leave my vehicle idling in
right,
your driveway.
Exactly.
In case I need to get away nice and quick.
Take your hand off that door, or I'm going to fill you up. I'm going to make holes in you. Thank God I had that.
Yeah.
The police, if you have a legitimate emergency, the police are 10 to 15 minutes away. If you have a 911, house is on fire, the children are on fire. Get over here right away. They're 15 minutes away.
Yep.
A guy can do a lot of damage to you in 15 minutes if he has a gun and you don't. And I had something similar happen. Several, I guess about a year ago, something very similar, where a guy tried to push his way in.
Yeah.
And that was even more aggressive. That one, I was like shaking for half an hour afterwards.
Yeah.
Because he grabbed the door, ripped it open, and that was when I showed him the gun.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that I answered the door with a gun in my hand. Makes a difference.
And then up here, someone breaks into your house and tries to kill your wife and kids, and even if you say they have a knife, right? And they have the knife at your wife's throat, and you grab the knife out of their hand and you stab them.
You're going away for murder.
You are done.
Yeah.
You're done.
What if he's killing members of your family, but he has a knife and you pull a gun on him and shoot him after he's killed a few members of your family?
Oh,
Not 100% true.
It's not 100% true? Oh, well.
What you just said is not 100% true.
It's not?
No.
Okay.
For instance, if you live up in the rural sections of northern Ontario and someone breaks into your home and threatens your family, and you plug them, they're going to let you off because help is an hour away.
That's a good thing.
That is a
Last
good
time
thing.
something like this happened was in Nova Scotia. A guy defended his home by shooting the guy in the leg. I believe he was initially charged and then released later on.
But
So
you get charged. Initially, you get charged.
But there also have been instances of people, like in the city, defending themselves.
That was all you're talking about. The Chinese guy in Toronto.
Yeah.
That guy was released later on.
I thought he was sent to jail.
No, he was charged with kidnapping and illegal withholding, yada yada. That was the Chinese guy. I remember that. That was funny. But no, he later was then released.
That still shouldn't happen, though.
It shouldn't happen. However, you have to investigate. I can understand why. However, there are circumstances like if I kill someone breaks into here, goes to harm you 3.
Yeah.
I hurt that person because, right?
Yeah.
I get arrested. I go to court. I have my court day. I explain the situation. The cop goes, "Oh, bye."
Yeah.
But again, that's all at the officer's discretion. If it's straight up the dude's dead on the floor,
Yeah.
I have to be arrested, preliminarily charged, and then prove my innocence later on.
Is that just the law?
Is that just the law? Skep is asking.
It's not really a law. That's the thing. We don't have a law to it. Again, it's always the wording is always at the discretion of enforcement.
It is, yeah.
See, because in Texas,
but not.
Yeah.
In Texas, there's the principle that you can protect your domain.
You've got to stand your ground in Texas, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Not it's the strongest. We actually have man's home is his castle.
We don't have a castle defense in here. Like if someone comes, okay, so just like as a delivery driver, if I get held at gunpoint and I have $10,000 in cash on me from a client and that person wants whatever's in the envelope, I am supposed to give him the envelope.
Yeah, he is.
That's
and in Texas, we have a thing where you can use deadly force to protect your property.
Yeah, and Skep is saying in Texas that's not.
In Texas, there used to be a time when guys had sawed-off shotguns in their visors. I know.
I used to be. I'm sure.
What do you mean you used to be?
I'm sure that's still a thing.
No, yeah.
The whole concept of it is Texas used to have a very low crime rate because you never knew what motherfucker you were to rob. In the 90s, if you went to rob an old lady in Texas, she'd have a 44 in her purse.
That's the truth.
Sonny, let me have a look. See, look down the barrel of this if you think so. Like that's what you get.
You want my wallet?
Oh,
Hey,
there
And
were,
on
fine
top of
day.
that, while the old lady's pulling her cannon out, there's
Yeah.
10 guys sitting around you with pistols already at your head.
Yep.
Now, do that in Dallas, what happens?
well, no, you're you're still allowed to
Everything
do
has
that
changed up here.
in
Yeah.
Texas.
Like we have
Hold on.
CCW.
Hold on.
I can't hear. I gotta go.
Okay.
But we have CCW up here. That's something people don't realize. I think we have some astronomical number of firearms in this country, and the liberals are trying to take them away as well. So it's not just you guys.
But CCW here is special circumstances, right?
Yes, but you can still get it.
Yeah. Like you have to be, there has to be extenuating circumstances up for concealed carry. Oh God, the middle of nowhere. Fun. Please be careful. We are in the middle of a blizzard.
If anybody wants to donate to help me grab some new snow tires, streamlabs.com/Piccolo.
Yeah, hear that.
But yeah, it's this like the difference between like Canadian and American gun, like we have guns here. Like a lot of people in the States are, oh, Canadians don't have guns. No, we have guns. There's a lot of guns.
Yeah, we have open carry in Texas. Lindsay was saying they have open carry in Arizona. You can open carry in Texas also.
Are you
And
allowed to
you see
conceal
guys.
carry or?
Yes, I if you have a permit, which I do, you can conceal carry. It's not a big deal. It's not hard to get at all. And what ends up happening is we actually do, occasionally the good guys shoot a bad guy down before he does a lot of damage.
Yeah.
And plus, the but in Texas, not only are you allowed to protect your life, but basically anything that happens inside your home where the guy has violated your space, has burgled your home,
Yeah.
you're allowed to just gun him down. You can just shoot his ass to death. And that's just fine because that's you're allowed to protect. In Texas, we have the principle. Florida has this too, by the way, where you are allowed to protect you're allowed to protect things of value, things that you own.
Yeah.
And that can be anything from pets to your car.
Mm-hmm.
So if a guy's shooting up your car, or taking a tire onto your car,
Yeah.
you can kill him in Texas.
Wow.
And you will walk away. There won't be a trial. There won't be an indictment. There'll be an investigation, and that's all. And they'll look into it, and that's it. In the little town where I live in, there would be, a dinner in your honor.
Yeah.
And because typically we're just starting to have this kind of crime where guys are opportunists or just stopping by and they see somebody who, hey, they think this guy's retired, there's a car in the driveway, they come in, try and push their way inside, and they have to be dissuaded.
Yeah.
And so I never want to hurt anybody.
No.
I don't want to shoot anybody. I don't want that to happen. But on the other hand, I don't want my family hurt. I sure as hell don't want my grandchildren hurt.
No.
Or my children. Although my kids, God help the person. If you think I'm a militant, holy shit. I shudder to think what my daughter and my son have tucked away.
Well, and your son's military, right?
Yeah,
Or
well, yeah,
was
he's
military?
a Marine,
Yeah.
and Andrea is married to country boy who was shooting when he was 6 years old, and she likes to shoot. So no, that's they so anyway, it's just a different situation here. I like it like this. This is the thing that the gun grabbers want to take away from us, is the ability to defend ourselves. I was talking with a friend of mine from high school,
Mm.
dear friend, and he is very, very liberal, certainly a person of the left. And I told him about this incident that happened to me the other day, and he said, "Well, that's something that happens in Texas. We don't have crime like that in Washington D.C." And I just let that statement hang there for a minute. Are you kidding me?
That's because y'all live in gated communities and let everybody else outside kill each other.
Well, that is largely true. He lives in a very exclusive community in suburban Virginia. In downtown DC, that's all they have is crime like that.
Exactly what happens in DC. What the
Yeah.
fuck are you talking about?
Murder capital of the United States. So yeah, he said, you know, I'm glad you have that protection. I just don't approve of it up here, and I hope that the day will come when you'll surrender your firearms.
I'm glad you have that protection, but I hope the day will come that you'll decide to give it up.
Right, and I said, John, from my cold dead hands.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, I have several friends back east who are like that. 2 or 3. Yeah, anyway, make a long story short, getting back to impeachment, which is kind of what we digressed off into. Impeachment is a giant nothing burger. There's nothing happening there, and it's a bunch of it. Nothing is going to happen other than them trying to besmirch Trump. I think it'll be very interesting to see if the trends continue. You could have not only a landslide victory for Trump, but he could have the coattails to carry Congress.
Mm-hmm.
If that happens, holy shit. Just wait and see.
Yeah, this was a really bad move for the Dems. Like,
Well,
if you're gonna make a chess analogy, this would be like putting your king right in, like, here, take my king right now.
Yeah, or take my queen.
Or take my queen. Yeah.
Yeah,
here,
take my queen.
Here. I'm giving it to you.
Trading your queen for a bishop.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
because potato.
Yeah, for no reason. I'm just being nice. Here you go.
Yeah.
You win. You know,
oh my God.
It's like, oh God, that's not how you're supposed to play.
And and if you get the electorate sick of your shit,
yeah,
they'll reward you with a 1994 style victory. I remember how the network news sounded in 1994.
Yeah.
And you just see the sad face of Tom Brokaw, you know, staring into the TV saying, I can't believe this is happening. The Newt Gingrich revolution is here. The conservative revolution. They've taken over everything. They've taken both houses of Congress. You know, the liberals' chances are destroyed, you know, and you could have 1994 all over again. I'm not playing. I really think that could happen.
Was that Bill's first election? Or was...
are you talking about Bill Clinton?
Yeah.
No, he was elected in 1988 and 1992. The 94 election was an off year. It was an alternate year, 2 years off of the 2 years off of the presidential election cycle. Yeah.
For some reason, I thought he was impeached later in the 90s. I don't know why.
He was. When was Bill Clinton impeached? Clinton impeachment. The impeachment of Bill Clinton, 1998, October 8th, 1998, was the date it was initiated.
So
wait a minute. That can't be. So
So there was
You're right. It was 1992. That's when he was elected.
because that was
1992 is when he was elected because I
H-
forgot about George Herbert Walker Bush.
yeah,
I missed.
was 88, right?
I'm yes, it was, and because he was president in 1989 when the Cold War, when the Berlin Wall came down.
Yeah,
That's right. I had a god damn it senior moment. Fuck. I hate losing my mind. It's been so good to me for so many years, and now it's failing me. God, I can't believe I did that. Anyway, yeah, October 8th, 1998. You're absolutely right. 1992 was when he was elected.
but yeah, it's like they're gonna have what's gonna happen in the States is what just happened in Britain. Trump is not only gonna have this landslide victory, but he's also gonna get Congress.
He could. It really could happen. I really think something like that could happen.
And then the frickin' Dems are gonna sit there and scream like the Labor Party are about how racist and
they will make the Labor Party look dignified.
Yep. Then we might actually see an actual
purge,
hot civil war, because I think they will lose their minds.
Oh, really? You think they'll go to the mat?
I do.
Wow. Yeah. I don't
Because
know that the Dems have it in them.
I don't think it will be a government thing.
So what are you thinking? You think they'll secede?
I don't think it'll be a secession. I think the electorate that is still in the electorate that's still crazy enough to be in support of the Democrats, like the general public, will get so angry and riot that they will cause everybody else to have to come out and defend themselves, like their businesses, their.
So you think they'll just start attacking them like gang style?
Yeah.
Okay. I could maybe see that. I think that's a possibility. I do. The thing that I'm actually more concerned about is if things go the other way.
Yeah.
If things swung really liberal and all of a sudden there was an executive order to come and get your guns, and there were police coming around, you would have shootouts, and you'd start to have shootouts between the people who make the country go and police.
Yeah.
It would be ruinous.
It would. Absolutely.
And the liberals, they don't care, because they're like the Chinese communists. They don't care what they do to their country as long as they get their way. They don't care how much suffering happens in their country, because they don't care, because as long as they get their way. And they certainly don't care how much suffering white people have to go through, because white people have had all this privilege and deserve to suffer. That's part and parcel of what they believe.
Yeah.
It's part of their hate. And yeah, it anyway, that
Ruby Ridge 2.0 says Mr. Scott.
It would be Ruby Ridge all over the country.
Yeah.
And part of the problem, I actually have a news story if you're interested in this.
Sure.
This is something that we didn't expect to see, and it's the headline is Brazilians arrive in waves at US-Mexico border. Now, Brazilians arriving there is kind of interesting because they speak Portuguese. So growing up along the US-Mexico border, hotel clerk Joe Luis Rubio never thought he'd be trying to communicate in Portuguese on a daily basis. But with hundreds of Brazilians crossing from Ciudad Juarez, Mexico each week, the Motel 6 by the airport has become a stepping stone for thousands of Portuguese speakers on a 6,000 mile journey from Brazil to El Paso to America's East Coast. So It's the quiet migration of around 17,000 Brazilians through a single U.S. city in the past year. 17,000 Brazilians through a single U.S. city in the past year reveals a new frontier in the Trump administration's effort to shut down the legal immigration pathway for people claiming fear of persecution.
Okay.
It's interesting. On Monday, acting CBP chief, that's U.S. Customs Border and Border Protection, Mark Morgan vowed to try and shut down asylum for migrants from outside Spanish-speaking Central America and South America. We're seeing again individuals from extraterritorial countries, extracontinental, come in from places like Brazil, Haiti, Africa, and so forth.
Right.
He pledged to implement rules to bar migrants from those countries with the same level of commitment that we came up with initiatives to address the issue with the Northern Triangle families. So anyway, those initiatives included making families wait on often dangerous Mexican border towns for months to apply for asylum, returning them to Mexico to await court hearings, and a recent rule that effectively removes all asylum claims regardless of merit. The result has been a mishmash of pseudo-deportations to countries where migrants have never lived and where they face barriers to work or access to basic social services. So none of this is good.
No.
None of this is working well at all. You know, the answer is don't send your unemployables to the United States. Stop that.
Yeah. And how many of these people, like, why are so many of these Brazilians leaving?
Well, and there's a reason for that. Things are in pretty bad shape in Brazil right now. The only way they have a better life in Brazil is to go to college, but college is very expensive. You know, and so it's you know, things are so bad in Brazil right now that it's, you know, if you don't have a college degree and work either in medicine or computer science or the oil business or the forestry business, you're screwed. You're going to be living in poverty, and living in poverty in Brazil means disease and early death, crime. And the crime in Rio de Janeiro, in parts of Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, is just like nothing you've ever even conceived of.
Yeah.
And they have, you know, neighborhoods absolutely chock full of orphans, and the orphans are in gangs, and they're just wild gangs. They're basically feral children.
Yeah.
And they will take anything, you know, they will attack anyone and take anything they can, and they get killed and they don't even care. And the police will frequently execute them by the side of the road. Simply put them down. And if they catch one, there's actually a YouTube tape of a Brazilian police officer killing a couple of them, and it's an amazingly bad situation. I don't blame people wanting to leave Brazil right now, but the answer is for Brazil to start solving some of those problems, and they've not done a good job of that at all. Even though it's a tremendously potentially wealthy country.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's kind of a.
Can you give me a really quick second? I have to run to the bathroom and tell
Absolutely.
Alex to stop roaring.
I'm going to go back through another couple of stories that I have.
Okay.
And so we'll be doing that while you're gone.
Okay.
I was looking. I noticed this story about outgoing Kentucky governor pardons man convicted of beheading a woman, stuffing her in a barrel. And I thought that might be a festive story to share with our viewers. I want to make sure you guys can hear me okay. Lexington, Kentucky. It's not clear if Betty Carnes was killed by asphyxiation or by the 8 blows to her head that Delmar Parton delivered with a metal pipe. The coroner couldn't tell which killed the mother of three first, but it was very clear that her head was then chopped off and placed in her lap in a 55-gallon barrel that was destined for a toxic waste site. Man, there's divorce, and then there's divorce. Anyway, on Monday, departing Governor Matt Bevin pardoned and commuted the sentence of Parton, who was convicted of killing her at the factory where they both worked in Barberville, Kentucky, in 1994. In his order, Bevin said he pardoned Parton because potential DNA evidence had not been tested. Given the inability or unwillingness of the state to use existing DNA evidence to either affirm or disprove this conviction, I hereby pardon Mr. Parton for this crime and encourage the state to make every effort to bring final justice to the victim and her family.
But,
yeah, he was convicted of the crime. The prosecutor on the case, Tom Handy, said he hasn't been this angry in a long time. He called the governor's pardon mystifying. I think it's arrogance of one who has a godlike image of himself, Handy said of Bevin, and a lack of concern for anybody else. The pardon was just one of several controversial pardons and commutations Bevin issued in his final days in office. The list includes several in Handy's old district, including a teacher, Charles Doug Phillips, who pleaded guilty to possession of child pornography and tampering with a witness. In his pardon, Bevin called the conviction long on duration, short on accusation, long on drama, and short on evidence. So it sounds like the governor hates this prosecutor and went to his district and just was pimping the shit out of him by pardoning all these assholes.
Like, what the fuck? Like,
that's what I love about place.
Like,
Kentucky's amazing.
Like, what are you gonna do? Go back to, like, all of this stuff before you could use DNA and be like, oh, well, despite this conviction being upheld for so many years, because of the advent of DNA science, are you guys gonna test that? Well, no, because we've proven it other ways. Oh, well, guess what? He's pardoned now.
Right, exactly.
It's like, what?
The police had found photos of minors performing sexual acts on Phelps' phone. So, but in the Parton case, in the Handy painted the picture of a grisly murder, one where no blood was found because Parton used a hook meant for hunting alligators to cut the blood flow to Carnes' head. Jesus, I know. Parton and Carnes worked together at the Tremco plant in Barberville and had been having an affair that had recently ended. He hated her so much that he wanted to punish her with her looking at him before he cut her head off. The evil is unimaginable. Handy said Parton's defense attorney, Bill Johnson, had never even brought up DNA evidence in his many appeals, which went all the way to the Kentucky Supreme Court. I don't think the governor got the record of a 2-week trial and read it, the prosecutor said.
Yeah, even when the defense lawyer is even like, yeah,
Yeah, are you crazy? Really? Governor? Seriously? In 2008, Parton had asked Knox County Circuit Court to perform a DNA test on a strand of hair found in Parton's trash can. His request was denied, and that denial was upheld by the Kentucky Court of Appeals. Now, remember, prisoners send these appeals up all the time, just for any reason, any little thing, test this, test that, test this, test that. You can't test all that stuff. When the Court of Appeals ruled against testing the DNA evidence, Justice Lawrence Van Meter acknowledged the evidence of Parton's guilt was circumstantial, but said the evidence as a whole was sufficient to uphold the jury's verdict and the trial court's denial of a directed verdict. So Van Meter wrote that Parton wanted the DNA test on hair found in his kitchen trash, but the jury was already aware the hair in the trash may or may not have belonged to the victim. So, that's very up in the air. This is the thing about, having a chief executive with the pardon power. That's almost a completely unchecked power.
It is.
There's no check on that. I mean, if he wants, he can let monsters out of jail just with a flick of the wrist.
Mhm.
Just sign on the dotted line and whatever you want to deal with.
This. Ugh.
Clinton,
Why do governors like? How come governors get this power?
well, it's the power to pardon, I believe, is constitutional. Let me look at where does the power to pardon come from? Hang on, let's see. Power to pardon governor. The U.S. Constitution grants the president power to pardon individuals. That's what I was remembering. Was that straight from the Constitution? Who have committed federal crimes, except in cases of impeachment. For state crimes, the governor holds the power to pardon, sometimes only with the involvement of the state parole board. But yeah, and no president has ever pardoned himself, but governors and a drunk mayor have. And 3 decades before statehood, when Washington was still a rugged frontier in the Pacific Northwest, Isaac Stevens, the first governor of the territory, ordered farmers who were married to Native Americans to leave a certain area. The court system in the territory was only 3 years old, but one court decided to look into the order. In response, Stevens closed the court and declared martial law. When judges tried to open their courts, the government had the judges arrested. Eventually, U.S. President Franklin Pierce, worst president ever, Franklin Pierce, worst president ever, scolded Stevens, and a judge fined him for contempt of court. To clear his name and possibly avoid the fine, accounts vary here, the governor pardoned himself. I, Isaac Stevens, governor of said territory, by virtue of the authority vested in me as governor, he wrote in the declaration, do hereby respite the said Isaac Stevens, defendant from execution of said judge. He pardoned himself.
That's amazing.
The Stevens case from 1856 is perhaps the most egregious one, where a United States politician granted himself a pardon, a release from penalty of offense. President Donald Trump has questioned his advisors about his authority to pardon himself. The Washington Post reported July 21st. Let's see. No other president has ever done so. Richard Nixon came close. He was going to pardon himself, but he worked out a deal with his successor, Gerald Ford, to pardon him, and that cost Gerald Ford the possibility of being elected, basically. Let's see. So the U.S. Constitution grants the president power to pardon individuals who committed federal crimes, but for state crimes, governors hold the power of pardon, but it doesn't say where that comes from. I think that comes from the state constitutions, but that power is modeled on the power that is granted to the chief executive directly and explicitly in the Constitution. So that's not a constitutional amendment or anything like that. That's in the raw Constitution, that the president has the power to pardon a person accused of or convicted of federal crimes. And
so have you heard about, I'm about to share my screen here. Have you heard about this story of the Texas woman who's trying to marry a serial killer?
No, although it has a certain familiar sound to it, because that happens in Texas actually quite a bit.
So this headline says, Texas woman marrying sensitive death row serial killer. That kind of sounds like the serial killer operates on death row, but okay. Like the way that sentence is worded, it sounds like the serial killer's victim pool.
Is this from the Toronto Sun?
Yeah, I think.
Let me tell you about the guy that she wants to marry. He has a total face tattoo. He has tattoos all over his face. Okay? And they're prison tats. They're nasty tats.
Yeah.
He's tattooed everywhere. Mass killer Nico Jenkins is very sensitive, according to Texas woman who plans on marrying the monster.
Yeah.
Jenkins terrorized Omaha, Nebraska during a 10-day killing spree. I remember this guy. In August 2013, 4 people died at his hands. Then he cut off his penis in a bid to be declared insane by the court, which
Oh, that guy.
Yes, yeah. In addition, he has 666 tattoo and sliced his tongue so that he would look like a serpent. Instead, he was sentenced to death and remains on death row in Nebraska.
So she's in Texas.
But now
And
Jenkins
she
has
wants
found
to-
love and even tattooed his new Lady Love's name onto his face. Dawn Arguello, 46, from Texas, apparently sees something in the serial killer others don't. Yeah, it's called publicity. Now she plans on marrying him. I was very ticked off that he did that, she told Omaha World Herald. He doesn't need to be self-mutilating like that. Why? They're going to kill him. They're going to sit him down on a gurney and kill him.
Yeah, honey, your marriage ain't gonna last that long.
Truly. She's probably trying to take out a life insurance policy. And the heroine doesn't like the way her badass betrothed has been portrayed in the media. If you believe the media, he's the most hated man in Nebraska besides Charles Starkweather, a notorious spree killer who went to the electric chair in 1959. He's not what the media has made him out to be. He's an enigma. He has feelings. He's very sensitive and very intelligent. Arguello met her rampaging Romeo as a volunteer. Rampaging Romeo. As a volunteer for a group that advocates for death row inmates. At his trial, Jenkins claimed he heard voices in his head telling him to kill, but a panel ruled otherwise, that he did, in fact, know right from wrong. Each one of these murders was a planned and deliberate act, said Douglas County District Judge Peter Battalion. Nebraska hasn't executed anyone since 1997, when double killer Robert Williams died in the electric chair, but they're fixing to get this one done. So I hope that this guy I hope they smoke his ass. I truly do. You know, this is disgusting. And I hate that, you know, a crazy lady has decided, you know, I want some publicity. So, you know,
I just don't understand the women that fall for serial killers.
No,
like I know I know the fascination for serial killers. I'm like Scribe. I like to read about that stuff. I like to look at the psychology behind them.
Yeah.
Right? But if I ever came face to face with one, I'd be like, "You're a piece of shit."
Yeah.
I don't know how I don't know how these women
well, you know
find
them
that
for
attractive.
you know them for what they are. You have a realistic picture of them. This woman obviously is projecting all kinds of things onto this guy: intelligence, sensitivity, and so forth. Bullshit. This guy is an animal. He probably had a for shit life and never really had a chance, you know. But the thing is when you reach a certain age in our society, you know, it doesn't matter if you've had the breaks or if you've not had the breaks. You are responsible for your actions. You go out and kill a bunch of people, we're going to sit you down in a chair and kill you.
Yeah.
And that's what this guy deserves, and that's what should happen. And this woman doesn't need to be making him into something that he's not and giving him sympathetic publicity.
And she's setting herself up for heartache.
Yeah.
Because he's going to die. That's just...
I agree with you there.
Why set yourself up for something like that?
Right.
Do you enjoy being miserable?
Yeah.
I don't... he's going to die.
Yeah.
You are going to lose him.
Yeah. But I don't think she cares that much about him. She cares about her.
Yeah,
And this is about her getting a little bit of publicity and some attention.
that's
I,
true.
I think it's pathetic to have that kind of life, but that's who she is. And
Lindsay's probably got a good point. She says, in their pathetic, disillusioned mind, they probably think they can change them. Yeah,
yeah,
that too.
yeah. There's nothing but yeah, she can change it. She knows she can change him. Yeah, absolutely. It's they're just absolutely sure that everything will be just fine if they do this, this, and this, and this. But it I love it when women think they can fix somebody.
Mhm.
I never understood why women go after bad men, but they do. It
Yep.
happens an amazing amount of times,
There's
amazing number of
there's the
times.
women that go after the women that go after the bad men, and then there's the men that go after the bat shit crazy chicks.
Oh, no kidding. And there are some women who are just they're unglued, they're unhinged,
Yep.
and men will follow them like puppies. You know, I remember some advice that my dad gave me when I was a young man. He said words to this effect. He said, "Never underestimate a man will do to um, for a woman. Let's just
Yeah.
put it that way." He was he was a little bit cruder about it than that, but basically saying sex will make men do crazy shit,
Yep.
and that's absolutely the truth. Uh, you know, it's,
When Ranting Monkey did his video a couple of years back now about not sticking your dick in crazy,
yes,
that is a video that when Alex and Logan get to puberty,
that's a classic.
I am making them watch it.
Absolutely, do not stick your dick in
Do
crazy.
not stick your dick in crazy.
Yeah,
Just don't.
just don't. It won't be that good. First of all,
Trust me, the sex is never going to be good enough to justify the
yeah,
hell that your life will be.
exactly,
Do not stick your dick in crazy.
exactly. I'm just noticing that irate prostate news EQ or in chat.
Hello,
Hey
you
guys,
two.
nice to see you. Nice to see Duck Dog. I want to say hi to a few people in chat
Yes.
because I know we got to get going here pretty soon. But say hello to Lindsay and Snippet. Maniac Man is there. Bob is there. Hi, Bob. Uh, let's see who else is there. Green Badger is there. Maniac Man. Dectran. Mr. Scott. Uh, a couple of new people.
Yeah.
BG is here. Uh, golly, anybody? Costin's here, of course. Uh,
Got a good group today.
yeah, six is here, and I hope he's still here. And Cryptic, uh, just really a outstanding crew here today, and I wanted to thank you guys all for coming out and listening to us. It's great fun to have you. I'm so glad you were able to do this on your channel today too.
Me too.
That's good to
I'm
get that sorted.
Yeah, and now I can. All I need to do is just find some overlays to change
I
the
was gonna say now
stuff.
you can jazz up your, you
Yeah,
can
now
jazz it up,
I can jazz it up. I can start recording like my rant videos,
right?
and like I can do the Reddit blind videos because I can share my screen easily.
Outstanding.
So yeah, it's and the other cool thing is you have up to 4 hours of record time.
Oh wow.
So if there's ever an interview that I want to do with somebody who can't, like for time zone reasons, make it to a live
Yeah, you can
thing,
just
I
do a
can
recording
record
of
it.
it. Yeah, that's marvelous. That's perfect. So, all right, let's. I think that is it's an absolutely wonderful thing. Do you want to do a couple more stories before we?
Yes.
I wanted to. There was one I was looking for. Oh, the stuff that's going on with Iran.
Oh, real quick, Lindsay says, if you don't mind me shilling, which of course I don't, I am doing a stream today to discuss the controversy that is Star Wars. I think she said it's at 8 p.m. Eastern. Um, and she says, Blind, you're cordially invited if you can make it. I will try. I may be right in the middle of putting the kids to bed at that time. But if I can't be a guest, I will come and watch and give you some views and all that. So
Star Wars is dead.
it is.
It's just my heart is broken. Anyway, I'm not a lore meister of Star Wars. I don't pretend to be, but I did like the franchise until they killed all the characters and have these blue haired Mary Sues coming out as the new generation of heroes. Fine, fuck off. It was nice. Three good movies and three mediocre movies and a lot of bad movies. So whatever.
And of course, Palpatine's alive again somehow.
Yeah, because potato. Because it's the potato principle, you know. We just, you know, uh,
Like, we can't have Rey actually fight Andy Serkis's character.
right,
Like the
exactly.
natural progression of things. We just have to resurrect Palpatine from the fucking grave.
Exactly.
Anyway,
Can't do Gollum.
what's going on in Iran?
Well, Iranian aggression calls for U.S. pushback. Top Republican on Armed Services panel says, and I thought it would be a good way to look at what's been going on with Iranian aggressions. The U.S. needs to take action against Iranian aggression to prevent further attacks against Western targets, such as that against a U.S. drone in June. Top Republican on the House Armed Services Committee said Thursday. I do think it's important to have a response, said, Mac Thornberry, a Republican from Texas, told C-SPAN for the show Newsmakers, according to Stars and Stripes. He said Iran is going to have some sort of pushback, or they will continue to be more aggressive.
Yeah.
Thornberry said he expects Iran will take further provocative actions in the coming weeks after a month of protests in which hundreds of demonstrators have been killed and thousands have been arrested. Iran's government will likely lash out and try and find an external enemy to, with the idea of trying to unite the country,
Yeah.
hating something external. This year, Iran has shot down a U.S. drone and attacked two commercial ships near the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. officials also believe Iran attacked Iraqi bases that were hosting U.S. troops this week and was behind an attack on a Saudi oil facility. Defense Secretary Mark Esper told the Armed Services Committee at a hearing Wednesday that Iran's efforts to destabilize the region have increased in recent months. Thornberry also advocated for a continued U.S. troop presence in Syria and said the terrorist threat in Afghanistan remains significant. So earlier this month, Pentagon sources told Fox News that military leaders were considering sending as many as 7,000 additional forces to the Middle East out of concern for Iran's recent actions. But Esper has reportedly not made a decision, saying, I'd rather just put a large thermonuclear weapon on Tehran and have. Well, okay, he didn't say that, but that's what I would have said.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just thought it was interesting that you notice that you remember that Iran took a bunch of Navy guys from a couple of little patrol boats that they managed to isolate. The patrol boats, it's straight across the line. So we're not doing those patrols anymore.
Yep.
You know what they're doing instead?
What?
They have fully armed corvettes and destroyers out there.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
They're not fucking
said
around.
no. We are totally not fucking around now. We with Aegis, missile systems and cruise missile systems on board, ASROC, we are, we took that lesson to heart. The vessels they have out there now, if the Iranian Navy comes out after them, we will fuck them up.
Yeah.
Really fuck them up. And that I'm really kind of scared that the situation with Iran may become hot either between the United States and Iran or between Israel and Iran.
I think, honestly, it might be between Israel and Iran because the states at least have other things right now
Yes, we do.
distracting them. Israel,
We do, but if they attack our forces,
oh, yeah, you'll respond.
we're going to go after them like a ton of bricks.
But I have a feeling that Israel may be in a better position, if that makes sense.
Israel just attacked, just a few months ago, attacked the Iranian mischief that was going on in Iraq.
Yeah.
There's some Iranian activity that was acting as a basis for terrorist activity. You know what they did? You know, we've sold them a bunch of F-35s, and these are the F-35Is. This is a nasty airplane that Israel has. This is a top-notch world beater airplane. The Iranians can't see it. The S-300 and S-400 surface-to-air anti-air missiles can't see it. And these guys were just coming in there and bombing at will. They were just, they took those guys out, and then they went home, and they were never seen.
Yeah.
They squawked on the transponder, United States IFFs, so that what they thought was happening was they were being attacked by the United States. Right. And they definitely did not want to put up air assets against F-35s, or what they probably figured was it was F-15s. And but they the way that they do the IFFs is they squawk back a U.S. identity to further fuck up the Iraqis and the Iranians. So anyway, Iran is smarting from that, and I think they're going to look for a way to hit Israel. And if they hit Israel, Israel will use a nuclear weapon.
No. They will. Israel's not going to pussyfoot.
Yeah.
Because no matter how much pro-Palestinian rabble there is, there's much more pro-Israel.
Oh, yeah.
And if and Israel at this point doesn't, I don't want to say they don't care, but they know
they have nothing to lose.
That they have nothing to lose. Yeah.
Right.
They have nothing to lose. They have most people in the world, if Israel were to respond to an attack by Iran,
yes,
would say, "Good for you, Israel. How can we help?"
Right, exactly.
And Israel would be like, "No, it's okay. We made a glass lake over there. It's fine. Thanks for your assistance, but we're okay."
Yeah.
But nobody.
Russia has a warm water port now.
Yeah.
In the Iranian Bay.
I really think that it would take, like, because of the state's position in the global scheme of things, they, in a sense, can't be as reactive.
No.
As Israel.
Yeah.
And they can't get away with being as reactive as Israel.
No, I would agree with you. There's more consequences.
Well, and because the states, quite honestly, has gone through much less persecution than Israel.
That's true.
The states doesn't have the same reason.
Yeah. And the dynamic of this is that what may happen if there's if Iran does something big, like does something in the interior of Israel to Israel and kills a bunch of Israeli citizens, that's going to be the thing that Israel says, okay, we're going to retaliate.
Yeah.
Dramatically. And that will be on the United States basically to mediate that.
Yes. They will be called in to mediate. They will not be called in for war efforts. They will be called in for please don't give us all nuclear winter efforts.
Well,
Basically.
what will happen is the U.S. will be brought in to say, okay, Iran, one of two things: you can lose a couple of major cities, or you can just back up the money truck to the Israeli dock there and start to unload.
Mm.
And they there'll be tremendous reparations. If Iran does something like that. The thing is, Iran can figure this out too. They have smart people over there. But if the mullahs decide that it's better to die gloriously in a nuclear pyre, um, one of the grown-ups in Iran is going to have to make a decision about that.
Yeah.
The mullahs need to go. They're done. Their time is over.
Yeah. And Pincalo just said, and remember, Trudeau just made us look like Palestinian sympathizers, so now we have that to deal with.
Yeah, well done. Well done.
Did you see about what he
stupid
did?
Asshole. Yes.
Yeah, for those who are going, what the hell are you talking about? Just before we end the show, Pincalo sent me an article describing what Trudeau did, because this is absolutely. So we've got this.
Well, they're backing the pro-Palestine UN resolution, is what you're talking about. Yeah.
So we've got once again Trudeau manages to insult the West, which it pretty much so we've got hold on here. So many links, holy Jesus. Okay, so wow, that didn't take long. In year-end one-on-one interview with CTV's Lisa Laflamme, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau decided to resume his drive-by smearing of Alberta. Trudeau and his Liberals, of course, don't have a single MP from either Saskatchewan or Alberta, so this is easy to understand. Trudeau is hated in both provinces because of his that he basically is trashing the oil and gas economies. But during the recent federal election, Trudeau wooed Green voters by promising to watch out for big oil. He also pledged to fight conservative
premiers such as Alberta's Jason Kenney, Saskatchewan's Scott Moe, and Ontario's Doug Ford, and the oil lobbyists who fund them. Trudeau didn't single out Ontario's car makers or Quebec's concrete industry, just the West's energy. Indeed, his Liberals have promised to wipe out all subsidies and tax breaks for the oil industry by 2025, subsidies and tax breaks that will still flow to central Canada's manufacturers, hydroelectricity, and mining. Now that the campaign is over, the heat of battle has subsided, you might expect Trudeau to ease up on the West bashing, but you'd be so wrong. In his interview with the CTV national anchor, Trudeau accused Alberta Premier Jason Kenney of not being, quote, serious about fighting climate change, end quote. Then he threatened, quote, that's an area we're going to have to agree to disagree because I'm not backing off, end quote. I know. Our country's actor-in-chief is just virtue signaling again. Trudeau loves to talk a good game. That's what he does. That's all he does. Say the things he thinks his supporters in social media want to hear, as if words alone were concrete action. There's always a giant disconnect between Trudeau's words and his actions. So just because he's slagging Alberta on one hand doesn't necessarily mean he intends to battle Kenney on the other. Indeed, Trudeau probably isn't clever enough to even understand he is insulting Canada's energy provinces. It's not in his political DNA to comprehend the West. if the energy industry were centered in Quebec or Ontario, he'd understand instinctively. Trudeau, for instance, would just never know to say about Quebec and its controversial Bill 21 anything close to what he just said about Alberta and the oil industry. Bill 21, which is almost certainly a violation of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, forbids anyone in authority in Quebec from wearing obviously religious articles of clothing.
At work. Not entirely.
The authority figures covered by the law include school teachers, police, judges, and civil servants. The bill makes it illegal, for instance, for a Muslim bureaucrat to wear a headscarf or a Jewish crown lawyer to wear a kippah or yarmulke. It is an overtly racist law, but you would never hear Trudeau say it was wrong, nor would he ever even think to accuse Quebec Premier Francois Legault of not being serious about fighting racism. And the PM would never, ever threaten that he and Legault would have to agree to disagree on Bill 21 because he, Trudeau, wasn't backing off. Even if you agree with Trudeau's assessment of Kenny and Alberta, you should be surprised that he is so openly hostile.
No, I shouldn't. And second of all, he has said that about Legault. He's just gone back on it.
Basically, it concludes, but the PM is just not that clever. He can't stop virtue signaling in general, and he can't resist trying to score points with Toronto and Montreal Liberals by bashing the West in particular. And that is true. That is his DNA, is virtue signaling. That's essentially all he is. He's an empty bag of air that just makes noises that please social media.
Yeah. Well, and Pink Hollow just said the exact right thing. He goes, I love the disingenuousness. All of this public servant law is just basically don't wear it at work.
Yeah.
Well, you're on the clock, and then as soon as you're done, put your hijab back on, put your yarmulke back on, put your whatever the hell you're wearing back on.
Yeah.
It's just while you're on the clock.
Yes.
Don't hide your face if you're a public servant. I don't see what's wrong about that. The only thing that I don't like about this law is that...
What if you're a chaplain?
Well, I was about to say the only thing I don't like about this law is that they won't take the crucifix out of the General Assembly Hall. And I think that if you're going to insist that public servants don't have religious symbols or don't wear religious clothing on the job, then while you're sitting in Parliament working, you shouldn't have a cross behind you.
Right.
That's just...
I think that's a fair...
That's just me.
From the symbolism. I would agree with you.
But yeah, between Trudeau shitting on... because I think the problem that people that I get in arguments over this separation from Alberta, or the Alberta separating, I think that they think that I don't think Trudeau is definitely screwing the West over, okay? But he's screwing all of us over. And what bothers me is that Western Canada right now is acting as though they're the only ones being fucked.
Right.
And that's not fair or true. But between Trudeau doing this ridiculous climate change crap and then his pro-Palestine stance and that horrible decision he made about that orphaned child, I don't understand how we reelected him. I really don't.
I don't either. But there he is. And there you are.
And it's been 90 minutes.
It's been 90 minutes and it's been fun. We haven't solved many of the problems of the world, but we've identified a few, and we had a few laughs along the way.
We have,
And
yes.
that's really the mission of Wednesdays with Skep, I think, and probably generally streaming of the type that you and I do.
Uh-huh.
But I was going to ask you, I'll put you on the spot, ask you on stream, do you think you might be available Friday night?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm hosting on Minions.
I was going to, because I remembered that you had Wildcard Fridays this week.
Yeah.
So I was going to say, if you're around Thursday and Friday,
Yeah, because
come and
Prospero's
check out.
back.
Yep,
Yeah.
come check out Minions of the Zoo, because Prospero will be hosting, and tomorrow night, and Skep and I, I'm sure, will both be there.
11:30
And-
Eastern, 10:30 Central
Yeah.
on the Minions of the Zoo channel.
And then Friday, I will also come and give Skep a hand as he hosts Wildcard
Hey.
Friday.
Absolutely.
I'm still looking for a guest for this Friday. I'm also trying to plan what I'll do for the 300th coffee stream. Cynical Lindsay says
if you have ideas,
yeah,
tweet or DM. Your DMs are open, right?
they are. I think you have to follow me. I think I've set that up
Or
so I don't
what-
get random.
Okay, you have to follow them. Actually, is what it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you have to follow them, and they have to follow you in order to message back and forth. So,
Okay. And Lindsay says she may be available Friday night.
all right, excellent. I would love to have Lindsay on. And Lindsay, you're invited. If you're available Friday night, let me know, and I'll save you a seat. That'll be very cool. So anyway, it's been fun.
It has. And on that
And-
note, guys, thank you all for watching. Thanks, Skep, for joining me. It's always fun.
Always a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And I'm going to go take care of my roaring child now.
with the ice rocks.
Yes. And thank you all for watching. Have a great rest of your Wednesday.
Have fun, guys. We'll see you later.